Story 1. AITA for telling my parents to forget it after they asked me to reconsider plans because of my sister again. My parents have me, 16M, and my sister, 15F. When we were younger, things were okay. But then, when she was 7, she got bullied by a kid in her class. The bullying didn't last long, but afterward she changed. She struggled with her self-esteem, and she still feels bad about herself and hates herself, and it made our parents really go into protective mode. They let her choose where we got takeout for a month afterward, and they canceled what we had talked about for my birthday party, and instead decided we all needed a family vacation instead, but she got to pick the location, even though we went for my birthday. I didn't have fun. My parents knew I wouldn't like it. They told me she needed this and we needed to help pick her up. They told me I could spend time with friends another day and do something small with them. That never happened, even though I asked. She was still in a bad place after a few months, and then my dad went no contact with his mom, grandmother, because she decided she was going to leave all her grandkids something. But my sister, the only granddaughter, wasn't included, and she said some nasty stuff about boys being more special to her in front of my sister, which did a real fucked up thing to my sister. But it made my parents really go crazy on the let's make sure sister gets put first always. It was more of the same where she got to make decisions for us all. I didn't get the chance to do it ever. And the few times I would make plans with friends but my sister wanted me around my parents, would ask me to put her first and cancel the plans. A couple of times I said no, but my parents made me cancel anyway. It keeps getting worse too and still happens. A few months ago I told them that stuff was pushing me away because I felt less important and less cared for by them. I also told them I felt like my sister got to make too many decisions for me. I told them I was so ready to just move away and get away from them, and it hurt, but it felt like my sister's family instead of mine. They said they were sorry, they told me they'd do better, they'd get my sister a better therapist to help her, so we could all move on. I had plans to go to a Halloween party with friends next week. My sister had plans with friends, but after a panic attack, they canceled on her and mocked her about the panic attack. She asked our parents if we could go away that same weekend and spend time as a family. So my parents asked me to cancel plans and go, and they tried to apologize, but I said forget it, to forget making it up to me because I don't believe them and I'm done. I'll do what they want and I'll suck it up for 2 more years and I'll walk away because I'm so done. I wouldn't hear my parents out and they got frustrated with me. Ada?
In my opinion, he is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 2. AITA for parenting my sister-in-law's kid? My sister-in-law, my brother, and their kids were staying with me temporarily. There's no issues at all outside of their youngest, 6M. He has anger issues, ADHD, ODD, and is being evaluated for a slew of other things, like bipolar, PTSD, and ASD. He started acting out after being bullied heavily at school. He can be quite the handful. My Sil gets touched out quick, and she has expressed to me multiple times that she isn't stressed because of her kid and what he's doing, but stressed because she's tired of being looked at like a failure from the adults surrounding her. Pretty sure she's talking about me and my husband. Now, the way my sister-in-law handles it is to ignore it. If he starts throwing a tantrum, she purposely ignores him. She says, I ignore him because it makes him evaluate his emotions, and he will come back and apologize once he's calmed down. And as much as I hate to agree with her, that is how it plays out. He will act out, she will completely ignore him, and he will come back after and apologize and be all better. But I can't stand it. Neither can my husband. I'm tired of this kid freaking out. I'm tired of this kid yelling or knocking things over to get attention. So yesterday he starts going off and she immediately starts to ignore. I ended up stepping in and speaking to him. My Sil looks at me and says, "What do you think you're doing?" And I tell her, "We are trying things my way today because I can't do this anymore. If it doesn't work, I will stop." I then go to the kid and pick him up. He fought it at first, but then slowly just started crying instead of freaking out. After he calmed down, I put him down and he ran out of the house and hid. My Sil was panicked because we couldn't find him for a solid 30 minutes before he ran to his mom and again apologized. So same end result, really. She then looks at me and says, "You ever touch my fucking kid again and I will make sure your ass ends up in prison. You don't hold a kid down, you fat fuck," and leaves. My brother is pissed at me, and so is the rest of the family for traumatizing someone else's kid. They only heard one side. My brother has since come back to grab all their stuff. AITA, ETA. Her fat comment doesn't bother me. I am fat. I'm 380 pounds on a good day. She said that I was suffocating him to strike fear. Given my size, that's probably what it looked like. She claims her son's therapist and evaluation team are the ones who told her to ignore him when he gets like that. I personally don't believe it.
I don't think she is an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 3. AITA for no longer spending parenting time at my dad's because I was expected to share a room with my younger stepbrother. My parents divorced when I, 15M, was 4. My memory of them together is really fuzzy, and the normal to me is mom's house, dad's house. Mom's house always felt more like home to me, though. But we live with my grandparents, so maybe that's why, and I always loved living with my grandparents. I'm really close to them. I never hated going to my dad's house, though, and we were close until COVID stuff happened. My dad introduced me to his girlfriend in December 2020, and they got married in May 2021. She has 3 kids. Her oldest is 10, her middle kid is 7, and her youngest is 5. The youngest is a boy, and the other 2 are girls. When we all moved in together, me and her oldest got our own rooms, and the younger 2 shared. A few months ago, my dad and his wife were really annoyed because the 7-year-old hates sharing with the 5-year-old. They don't get along at all. Neither do the girls. And the 7-year-old doesn't like how clingy the 5-year-old is, and he really is clingy. He gets nightmares and wants to share a bed and all kinds of stuff, but not with the adults. With his sister, but he also asked me a few times because the girls don't get along and because the 10-year-old is a girl who is at an age where sharing with a brother might be awkward. My dad told me he wanted me and his stepson to share, and he laid out the expectation that I be there for my stepbrother for nightmares and stuff, and to really invest in being a good brother because he's far more affectionate and longing for closeness that neither of his sisters give him. I told Dad I wasn't okay with any of that, and I didn't want to share a room with his stepson and be responsible for a closeness I don't want. He told me I had no choice and that I should want a closeness because we're family and I have the chance to have a brother. The rest of that week, he was in my former room, and he tried climbing into my bed every night, and he would wake up once I went to bed, really light sleeper, and would chat my ear off. 2 years ago, I was given the choice to stay at either parent's house more permanently, and with the changes at Dad's, I decided to stay with my mom and not go to my dad's for parenting time anymore. Dad didn't like it, but he thought I'd come back around. I still haven't been there since. My dad's wife is furious because her son hates being on his own in the room all the time. She berated me real bad for that, and Mom told her to never contact me again when she heard it. My dad told me I need to stop acting like this, and I came across as very entitled and selfish. AITA?
In my perspective, he is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 4. AITA for going to the police immediately when I found out my parents took out debt in my name. My parents took out credit cards and loans in my name. It was fine when they were paying the bills, but they got behind. I don't have a key to the mailbox, so I never saw the bills or anything. I just finished my 3rd year of university and I was going to move out. That would require me to get a credit check and stuff. My parents freaked out and forbid me from moving out. They said it was stupid that I would waste money on moving out when I could save money living at home. They don't like my boyfriend, so I thought that was their issue. But not was I wrong. Long story short, I am about $60,000 in debt because of them. I cannot afford to pay that off. I told them that they needed to clear the debt immediately and change the house rules so my boyfriend could spend the night. They said that they didn't have the money to pay the debt and that I could not strong-arm them into changing the rules of their house. I called my auntie and asked her if I could please come stay with her for a bit. She let me and asked a lot of questions. Then she showed me a dozen Reddit posts about parents screwing up their kids' future and kids allowing it. I went to the police and reported it. My parents got arrested and charged. They are furious with me. I know they didn't spend the money on me. I do not know what they did spend it on. I don't care. I feel bad for them, but I'm not letting them fuck up my future. AITA?
In my perspective, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 5. AITA for telling my friend that I'm sorry her parents don't love her as much as mine love me. I, 22F, have a friend named Amy, 22F, who I met in college. Currently, we are in our last semester of college. I live alone, but she shares her apartment with 2 other people. We never really spoke about our finances much, but I know that both of our parents currently pay our rent. The issue started when we talked about our future plans. I told her that I'm probably going to get a job and do my master's at the same time so that I can save up a little, but also to finally have my own money to spend on some things that I love and to travel. She laughed at me and asked me what kind of salary I expect while working part-time to be able to afford all that. I shrugged and said I didn't have any expenses that I'd need to cover really, just food and that's it. She looked shocked and asked me about rent and stuff, and I said my parents will be paying for it. She then went on a rant about becoming an adult, how she can't wait to be independent, how she doesn't want to take money from her parents and stuff like that. For the most part, I tried to nod my head and listen to her, but then she said something like, "I'd feel like a bad daughter if I were you." And that really made me feel embarrassed. My parents want to pay for my apartment. They can easily afford it, and I'm not the type of person to be ungrateful for it. I spend a lot of time with them. I know they don't lack money for anything. They travel, own their house, have a good retirement plan. They don't mind paying for me, and I don't mind taking it. We have a good relationship. I know this won't be forever, and I don't expect it to be. Just a few years until I finish my degree and get a higher paying job. I got annoyed and told her to drop it. We can talk about something else, but she continued talking about how her parents want her to be a real adult, how I'll never want to be ambitious unless I struggle, and just more and more nonsense. Not sure how important it is, but between the two of us, my grades are significantly better and I'm a few exams ahead of her in terms of passing this semester. I just cut her off and said, "Well, I don't know, maybe my parents love me more than yours love you, so they want to pay. I'm sorry for that. Can we now talk about something else?" We didn't talk since, and I do feel bad because I know that love has nothing to do with money, and looking back, it's such a rude thing to say, but I just said it to shut her up because she was insulting me and calling me spoiled for no reason. I wasn't even the one to start this conversation, nor did I probe into her finances. She was the one who kept it going. Ever since that day, I feel a pit in my stomach, and I really didn't want to insult her. Info, edit. Just adding some stuff because I feel like it may be relevant. I feel like Amy's intention wasn't genuine because she currently accepts her parents paying rent, food, utilities, everything. So do I. The conversation was about after college. I mentioned my academic success because she said I will never be ambitious when I try really hard. We also don't live in the USA, and parent support isn't so uncommon. And lastly, while this may not convince people, I really do appreciate my parents and everything they do for me. I don't plan to leech on them, and this is something they know, and that's what matters to me.
In my opinion, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below. Subscribe for more interesting stories.